That didn't quite go as planned.
We're Riley and Courtney Casey. Frustrated by the 9-to-5, we set out to make a living making things. Through your incredible support, we've been able to bring you along for the ride, and we can't wait to share our next chapter with you. Say hello to 20 acres of raw, off-grid land in northern Idaho.
We're back at it today. The goal is to get the rest of the roof purlins on so that we can finish prepping our roof for our sheeting. We've finally gotten the hang of putting the purlins up. It's just awkward. It's high up there. You have to stand between trusses, but I think we have it figured out now, so let's get it done.
We've tried about 100 different methods and found that our original plan is still the best plan, which is that Courtney just takes me up and we have to move truss by truss from underneath.
So we're gonna try to get that done and see if we can't have this building ready for sheeting. On standby until he needs me, and then I hop in and move it, and then I'm on standby.
Chauffeur.
Chauffeur.
Chauffeur, move me. Could literally turn that thing around inside the building. I'm on my own right now. Courtney's editing together tomorrow's video, and I'm gonna work on getting this last wall put up. So let's see how things go. This front wall is unique because it's gonna have our big garage door in it. We're doing a 12-foot wide, 14-foot tall door that's gonna land in this bay over here. So we also need to frame up a header for that garage door into that opening. The spacing over here we left so that we would have the option to add an 8-foot tall, 10-foot wide garage door in the future if we wanted to. So we made sure the post spacing would allow it, but we're not going to be doing that right now.
It's a smoky warm day, and we are gonna get our last wall stood up.
This is the wall that's got the big garage door opening, so there's not a lot of structure in it. There's just a big header that's gonna go over the garage door. And once we get it up, then we'll tie it off with wall girts to our other two walls.
We had a few of you ask in our most recent video why we didn't already install this wall, but if we had stood this wall up, it would have been in the way of hanging our trusses. So now that we're done hanging trusses, we can put the wall up.
So whenever possible, we're using a 20-penny nail that we're hand driving in. We do not own a framing nailer that can drive a 20-penny nail, so we're having to use a hammer to drive them in. There are situations where we just cannot get the right angle to use a hammer. So if we can't get the angle to drive a nail with a hammer, or we want to suck something tight, we're using these GRK structural screws. This is a framing screw. You can see here, it does not look like a conventional screw. It's got this special head for cutting a hole in, and then it's got this little guy that clears out so that you can suck things tight against the shank. They're awesome screws. They're strong. They say they're code rated. I don't really know what code that's for. But so far, these have been working super well for us. We use these on all the purlin connections, and now I'm also using them on this garage door header.
I promise that Riley did not do that just to make all of you safety police mad. We do appreciate you looking out for us, but sometimes you just gotta get it done. And we still have all our fingers, so. Anything to chime in?
Sorry. We had to notch this wall girt around this permacolumn bracket so that it would sit flat against our post.
Are you good?
Yep.
Okay. Sun is blinding. Oh, and you didn't tell me you were going for it.
I thought you said that. I thought you said to go.
No, I said, are you good?
Foot, 3 1/4. Perfect. I want to give a little more detail on these truss connections. So here was what we've done. We're using a 4-column post. We notched 2 of the ears out and left 2 long. So the truss is sitting on top of the post right here. So you can see the truss is sitting on top of the post. We left 2 ears long to give ourselves a very secure way to attach it. So the load on these trusses is going straight down the column and not relying on the fasteners that hold the truss in place. That is only on every other truss because we don't have a post in the centers. In climates with a lighter snow load, it's very common to just have trusses that are 8 foot on center. But since we have a relatively high snow load in this climate, our trusses are 4 foot on center. We went with over-engineered trusses that are designed for a higher snow load than what's required in our area. We also upgraded to 4-ply columns instead of 3-ply columns to help carry additional load, even though that's not required. Didn't want to have to go to 4 foot on center columns because that would make lots of other things more difficult. So what we ended up deciding on doing was this truss carrier to carry the extra trusses. This is a design that we talked to lots of local builders around here that build post frames. They like the way that this design works out, and it seemed like it was going to work well for us. So now what we're doing is we're adding a carriage bolt through our rafter tail, through our truss, and through the 2 ears of our posts to make sure that these trusses are secured nice and tight.
Your chariot awaits.
The good news is that my angle looks very correct.
That is fine. We're back at it today, and the name of the game is bracing.
We're working on getting all of these walls plumb and square so that then we can start working on getting the roof squared up and get our roof sheet metal on.
We need to make sure that this wall is plumb before we lock it in with our diagonal bracing. So we have this ratchet strap hooked up. Riley's got the level.
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, that looks really close. I'm gonna climb up and check it up higher.
In a perfect world, we would have a longer level. Someone suggested strapping the level to a 2x4 with some little spacer feet, but none of our 2x4s are straight enough. to do that with, or none of our lumber is that perfectly straight. So we just check along multiple points along the post, and I think it's been good enough. It's too short. We are going to call that good for now. We still need to add our bracing on this back wall and this side of this front wall. However, that is where our apartment is going, and so window placement is very important. We're gonna wait and finalize our window sizes, and then we'll add that bracing.
So since we made our purlins by piecing 3 or 4 pieces together, there are some inconsistencies when we measured and cut each one that made them grow or shrink slightly. So we actually left them all a little bit long, and now we're coming back and I've set up a string, and we're gonna cut them all off right at 22.5, which is gonna give us a 2 foot even overhang out here on the front wall. We're starting with the front wall since we want it to be laser straight, since it's the most obvious one. This thing is so handy, being just this light little cordless tool that I can get up here and I can cut upside down or backwards or sideways. If you don't have a cordless skill saw, I highly recommend you get one. So now that we got the gable end eaves all straight lined out, we're gonna work on the sidewall eaves. They look pretty straight already, but we wanna make sure that there's not a bow to this wall. So we're gonna start by straightening the wall, and then we're gonna straight line all the eaves.
Measure, 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 tweak, measure.
It's been a frustrating couple of days as we try to get this thing straightened out.
We know we have to do it, but that doesn't mean it's fun. I mean, we have our sheet metal right there, and it's been so tempting to just start putting it up, but we really wanted to set ourselves up for success, get everything as plumb and level and straight as square as we could, but I think it's time to move on to the next step.
Time to finally build the eaves and get started with the sheet metal. Stop!
Well, that didn't quite go as planned. We're gonna try, Riley's gonna lift from the middle this time, not the end, so he has a little bit more control. That went better. It's raining!
Screws, we're out of nails. Courtney lassoed it with a string, and she's gonna hold it so it can't pop off that screw we put on the end. I was able to get the peak lined up, and now Courtney's taking me back over to this end to get this end lined up. It's really hard to handle this 20-foot long lumber by yourself, especially when you can't just like walk over and grab the other side. But we're getting it and just trying to work super safe and never be in a spot where we can get hurt. The little screw we used on that side to hold the end of the fascia up failed. Got kind of sketchy, and then Courtney had the great idea, well, let's make something way more substantial and try that idea again. So that's what we're doing. I'm going fishing. A bluefin tuna.
Yellowfin tuna. That's why you don't stand down there. We have eaves!
I think that concludes all of our framing up in the air. And I am so happy to not have to do any more of that.
It was very time consuming. I can only imagine how time consuming it could have been if we hadn't started with a mostly square plumb level building.
And having a machine that could haul me up and down and not have to climb a ladder the whole time made things way safer and way faster. Unfortunately, it did mean that Courtney spent most of the last 3 or 4 days just sitting in the driver's seat of that thing, chauffeuring me around.
It was his chauffeur. He would tell me where to go and I would take him there, but I didn't dump him.
Glad to have finished that step, and now it's time to start thinking about sheet metal.
We are running out of time. We only have the telehandler rented for a few more days. In a perfect world, we're gonna get all of our roofing done while we still have it. We're gonna keep pushing hard to make that happen, but I don't know.
Once we pull the roof into square and add the roofing sheet metal, we'll finish up our diagonal bracing. We have to wait on the diagonal bracing until we know what we're doing for windows. We're going down to some surplus building supply stores in Washington in a couple of days and hope they have what we need.
If we can't find windows in stock, it's 12 weeks right now for windows, and we aren't really sure what we're gonna do. So hopefully that works out. Thanks so much for liking, subscribing. We've really enjoyed sharing this building process with you guys. You guys have had some really helpful comments. We really appreciate them.
Thanks again for all the support. And
except the person who told me they didn't like my sunglasses. I'm gonna keep wearing them. And on that note, we are gonna get back to work. It looks like we had a visitor last night. We woke up and Bailey was barking, but I didn't see anything.
Boom, 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 boom.
What is that? Is that a bunny?
Think it's a little tiny bunny?
I don't know. You guys tell us what makes that?